All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how you, as a recruiting or staffing company, can get 10 new job orders within the next 30 days without sending cold emails, LinkedIn messages, cold calls, without having to hire multiple sales reps, and without relying on referrals. Before we get into the process, just so you know it's possible, here's an example of one of our clients who collected over $181,000 towards the end of last year, 2024. And here's a few more examples. So in the last 5 years, our clients have generated over $8 million in revenue. And this excludes any repeat purchases, so just from the first sale. And a few examples: ALM Corp signed 69 new clients, Mabane Media signed 29, Alex from Loudline made over 400,000 pounds in revenue, Scott Holden signing 1 to 3 new clients every month, Bradley Benner 5 new customers in the first month, and multiple retainer clients for a recruiting agency, one of them even without getting on sales calls, and the list goes on. So we've done this several times over for very different different types of businesses, which is why we understand from the first principles what works, what doesn't. And that's exactly what I'm going to break down for you in this video. Now, this video is going to be long, so it's going to cover everything that we do, that all of our entire decision-making process, how we choose what works, what doesn't work. So stick around to the end and you will hopefully find this valuable. Before we move forward, by the way, just a quick disclaimer. This is not for businesses that are just starting out. So if you're a solo recruiter and you're only getting started with your business right now, this will not work for you. Ideally, you should, before implementing this process, you should at least have hit $1 million in revenue, and you should be ready for scale, right? So if you're looking for your first few customers, this video is not going to be helpful. But if you already have a few clients and you want to scale, you're ready to scale, you have the cash flow, you have the team ready to handle the recruiting workload, then this is for you. And this falls in line with the classic triangle of equality. You can have fast and good, good and cheap, fast and cheap, but not all three, right? So this method, it's good, it's fast. You get 10 new job orders, you get them within 30 days, but it's not cheap. So with that disclaimer out of the way, if you are already, if you're looking to scale and you have the cash flow to invest, please keep watching. Now, when I talk to recruiting companies over the last 5 years, whenever I talk to businesses in general, and recruiting companies, staffing companies, headhunting firms in specific, there are a few challenges that they find themselves facing. So, let me know if you ever related to this or if you ever found yourself saying this. Maybe you need more leads with relevant businesses who are hiring for roles you can fill. So maybe you're not getting any leads at all. Maybe you are getting leads, but those leads are absolute garbage. Like, these are from industries where you don't have any candidates, roles that are extremely, extremely hard to fill, basically leads that won't ever turn into business, right? Or maybe you're not getting anything at all. It's dead quiet. So that's the first challenge. Now, let's say your business is getting leads. So you're talking to companies, but they don't have the money. They're not willing to pay. They're negotiating, 2 points on the percentage for fees, right? So they're not willing to pay. If you charge deposits or retainers, they're not willing to pay those. So they either don't have the money or they don't have urgency. They say, yeah, come back to us next month or the month after that. So they don't want to buy right now, right? So that's the second challenge. The third challenge is, let's say you have leads, you're getting the right leads. They have the need, they have the money to invest, but these leads, they just pit you against a dozen other recruiters. So they have a job opening, there's 12 recruiters working that same job rec, and you end up working for several hours to fill that job rec, but some other recruiter pitches their candidate gets selected, and you work for free. So all of your work goes to waste, right? So these companies, they commoditize you, they pit you against a dozen other recruiters, which means you're working without exclusivity and it's a waste of everybody's time. So this is the third challenge. And finally, let's say you're not facing any of these challenges, but you're the founder and you just don't have the time to be able to consistently and reliably sell, right? Maybe you're doing the presentations, maybe you're doing the discovery calls with the prospects, but sometimes follow-ups slip through the cracks. Sometimes, your presentations or post-presentation emails take too long to send out. Sometimes you forget to update your CRM and then a prospect just goes into the void. So these small leaks in the funnel that are costing you revenue. These are if you're an established business, these are really the four most common reasons you are unable to scale. So the solution we've built, it works around these four specific challenges. And I'm going to explain that to you with the help of this diagram. Right. So this is a typical funnel. If you've been in sales or marketing, you would be aware of this funnel structure. But let me explain what's different here and how this applies specifically to recruiting. So I like to call this approach is built over 4 or 5 years of experience, and it's very scientifically built to counter each one of these challenges as early as possible. Right? You start with your target audience. So let's say you have a universe of 100,000 prospects. Right? These are companies that you could potentially work with. So this is your entire universe. From this universe, 30% will be companies that are looking to buy right now, meaning and in this case these are companies that are hiring for roles that you can fill, you specifically can fill. You have talent pools, you have your network, you have connections in that industry with those types of people, and you can fill those roles, you're confident. So 30% of them will be buyers. Half of that, 15%, will be qualified buyers. Qualified, so they have the money to invest. They're willing to sign exclusive agreements. They are looking to hire as soon as possible and not 6 months down the line. Of this 15%, 6% is going to convert into your pipeline. That's because the remaining 9%, perhaps they don't think you can help them just yet. Perhaps they are too suspicious of you, or perhaps they just haven't heard of you. Right? So 6% converts into pipeline, and of the 6%, let's say you close half of those into new jobs. So 3% actually convert into customers. So that's the math. Now, how do we take a customer from here, from just existing in your universe, never having heard of you, never having heard of your capabilities, not even knowing that you can help them? How do we take them from here all the way to here when they become a customer that sends you repeat business? Right? So let's talk about that process. Now, the first challenge that I mentioned here that most recruiting agencies find themselves struggling with is not enough sales calls, or sales calls with the wrong types of business. Now, there are several ways to generate top of the funnel traffic. There's outbound emails, which is cold email, LinkedIn. I'm sure you must have all tried it. In most cases, that is not, especially if you're looking, if you want something that's good and fast, outbound is not the way to go. It is cheap, and I recommend it for businesses that are smaller that cannot afford to invest. But if you want to scale quickly and you want to sign the right kinds of clients, you should be looking at leveraging, like think about all the data you're sharing with social media platforms. Meta maintains over 1,500 data points on every individual. Like they can tell you, like an engineer at Meta, if they were allowed to, they could look at your data and tell you exactly what you had for dinner the last 7 days of the week. That is how much they know about you. Right? So they're collecting this data irrespective of whatever your opinion is on privacy laws. The least you could do is use it to your benefit. Right? So the first step here, to get in front of the right kinds of audiences, to make sure you're talking to relevant people, is using advertising on Facebook, Instagram, Google pay-per-click, and using these advertising platforms to get yourself in front of the right audience. Now, a lot of people try these, right? I'm sure it's possible you might have tried this in the past as well. The reason this does not work for most people is because in the B2B space, advertising is significantly different from B2C, direct to consumer. And that's because in the direct to consumer space, you're just looking to sell a $10 widget. Whereas in the B2B space, you're looking to talk to specific decision makers. So your language, be it the language that you use in the ad, in the creatives, on your landing page, on your booking form, in your emails, all of that needs to be fine-tuned and aligned to disqualify the wrong type of prospect. Let me show you, let me tell you how these algorithms, how ads on Meta work. right? When you submit an ad for review, Meta will go through your ad copy, your description, everything that's being said on your landing page. If you're sending prospects to the landing page, and it'll try to understand what it is that you're selling, and then it will try to match you with the right kinds of buyers. Now, it is in Meta's best interest that it matches you with the best possible buyer, because if you're profitable, you will keep spending money with Meta. So the algorithm is working for you. Let the algorithm work for you, right? This is the part that most people get wrong. Anybody that tells you that ads don't work, it's probably because they didn't get the messaging right and they failed to train the algorithm correctly, right? So we nail that down. We ensure that we're only targeting all of our messaging to the right kind of target audience, and we identify buyers from this target audience. So the simplest, the simplest example of how do you do this is by adding disqualifications at every stage. For example, within your ad, you can tell people, you can call out exactly who that ad is meant for. You can talk about what disqualifies people. You can write it down in your description, in your questions, in your lead forms, on your landing page, exactly who should not be applying to work with you. Now, what this does is, yes, it raises your cost per call, per booked call, cost per lead, but it also trains the algorithm to reject the right kinds of people. So you're teaching the algorithm that these prospects that you're sending me are not a good fit. Send me something else. And then when someone successfully goes through, despite all of those disqualifications, now you're teaching the algorithm, yeah, person X is the right kind of person. Get me more people like person X. So it's really this simple. Like, you just need to lay your trust within these platforms that are collecting thousands of data points on you, and let them do their thing. Use your messaging to make it as clear to them as possible who you want to target, and they will get you the right kinds of prospects. Right? So you go from target audience to people who are in the buying stage, you disqualify them. So you ask questions on your booking form, you ask questions as to whether or not they're able to invest a certain amount. What roles are they looking to fill? By when do they need the hire? Are they looking for one role or multiple roles, etc., etc.? Whatever distinguishes an unqualified prospect from a qualified one, you add those questions on your booking forms, and you only allow qualified bookings. Next up, so this solves the first challenges, the first and the second challenge. Right now, you're getting sales calls with the relevant businesses. You've qualified them, so they have money and they're looking to fill roles right now. The next problem arises, and this is what causes this drop off, right? So buyers that don't buy from you, sure, 15% to 3%. Qualified buyers to buyers that don't buy from you. Qualified buyers 15%, but only 3% buy from you. And initially, this number is going to be much lower. The reason being, these buyers have options. Like right now, there are dozens of cold emailers sending them emails every day, dozens of recruiters all around them sending them emails about their job posting, offering to work with them for pennies, right? For pennies. So they will commoditize you, they will pit you against dozens of recruiters for the same role, which is not ideal. So what do you do? How do you establish yourself as an expert and position yourself as an authority? The answer to this is by leveraging content. So you need to build assets. We're talking videos, long form videos, we're talking podcasts, we're talking LinkedIn shorts, we're talking YouTube shorts, we're looking at LinkedIn posts, etc., etc. So you need to put out content in the universe. And this content does not need to generate views or likes or impressions. The content just needs to be out there, because the right prospect will look at that content. They will resonate with it, and they will understand that you are an expert. Right? You don't need to be getting a million impressions on LinkedIn to be able to make money from LinkedIn. That's something that I learned after a lot of trial and error. Likes are not cash. So something to keep in mind. So how do you prevent being commoditized? By putting out content into the world. Now, this is extremely easy to do if you have the right set of tools and individuals in place. All you need to do is spend 1 hour every week talking about the things that you have that are areas of your expertise. So have someone from our team. This is how we do it. We interview our clients every week for 1 hour. We use insights from that interview to create 5 LinkedIn posts, extract videos from that interview to create shorts, reels, publish them for the next week, and also create a long form video just based off of that interview. Another way to do this is by hosting a podcast and actually inviting your dream customers. So this is like a bonus strategy that I'm revealing here, but essentially you can launch a podcast, invite customers from companies that you really want to work with to that podcast, and now you have an open relationship with those people. So now if you wanted to work with Microsoft, you're going to hire the director of talent acquisition at Microsoft to your podcast. Chances are, even if they do not respond to your sales email, the chances that they will respond to an email invitation about joining a podcast are much, much higher. And once you get them on a podcast, you have a relationship going. And in the future, you can leverage this relationship to actually get your foot in the door and work with Microsoft, hire candidates for Microsoft. So this is the solution to the commoditization problem, where you get treated just like any other recruiter and you end up wasting your time working on jobs for the possibility of zero compensation. Coming back to the sales funnel. So now you're talking to buyers, qualified buyers, they are in your pipeline, they respect you. Now it's really just about closing these deals. And this is where cold email, LinkedIn cold calls, this is where you need to be applying those tools. Now you have a smaller subset of people that you know are highly likely to convert into revenue. And now you need to make sure you're doing everything you can to convert these people into customers. This is where hiring an SDR is way more cost effective, because now instead of 3, 4, 5 SDRs, you just need one. For our clients, we assign a dedicated SDR to them who will ensure that these prospects are being followed up with, who will ensure that if they no show to a call, they reschedule that call, who will ensure you're sending follow-ups, etc., etc. So this SDR is a sales development rep, by the way. This sales rep will ensure that your pipeline converts into actual presentations, and then the presentations, you have your experience, you have your sales process. We share with you templates that help you convert those presentations into calls. So that's really it. That's the summary of how the system works. So we counter all 4 challenges, all the 4 roadblocks to you scaling your business using this simple system. Feel free to screenshot this, save this video. If you have questions or comments, let me know down in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.